نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم. The next masla is a very, very interesting masla. So generally, we're saying, look, we discussed this thus far. That look here, that like in those animals that it is halal to consume, right? Those animals that are halal consumed, like what you say, the herbivores, like sheep, goat, etc., buck, whatever. They they need to be slaughtered in a particular manner by a Muslim or Ahl Kitab. Three of the veins need to be severed, etc., for you to be able to eat it, right? We done that, right? Inshallah, you'll do that also later on. Kitab al-Saidi was Zabahi. We'll do that also. It's not by me, but one of the other ustads. And you also done that. I'm sure you done it in Kuduri, nah? You done it. Kitab al-Saidi was Zabahi. So for it to become halal, gee, you're doing Mishkat. Very good. Who are you doing? Which ustad doing with? One Rashid. They gave you all the laws. Like according to Hanafis, at least three veins must be severed, etc., etc. Right? So in order for you to be halal to eat it, it must have a shari'i zakat. There are certain conditions, right? That we done, right? Now the next thing we done also is yesterday we done that besides a pig, every other animal, if it also got a zakat, where the blood is drained out of it, right? And not necessarily even a shari'i zakat, but it got a zakat, then the skin will become pure, the flesh will become pure, and the limbs in there will also become pure. Right? Are you with me? Right. So that saying it's pure part, it doesn't mean that you can eat it, but it just means it is pure. That if you take a piece of, you slaughter a lion and you put a piece of the flesh in your pocket, or maybe you're taking lion biltong for somebody and you're in your pocket, we won't say. So every meat which is haram doesn't necessarily mean it is najis, right? Every meat which is haram doesn't mean necessarily it is najis, right? Now the next masala, interesting masala we're going to do, which is very relevant, that in an animal, there are certain portions which in Shariat we say it does not have life. Now, it's called mala tahullul hayatu, that which is no life in it. But we know from a technical point of view, or we know from a biological point of view, everything has every part of a living being has got life in it, right? But here when we say it has got no life, what do we mean it got no life? We mean in the Kitab it's explained it does not experience pain if it is severed or if it is cut off or something like that, right? Are you with me? Example, your nails, you cut your nails, you don't feel pain. You cut your hair, not pull your hair. When you pull your hair, then you feel pain on your scalp. But you cut your hair, you don't feel pain, right? What else? Horns. If you had horns, or an animal has horns, the horn itself, if you break the horn, there's no pain. Your bones, when you break your bones, there's no pain in the breaking of the bone. So this is done as mala tahulluhul hayatu. That thing which does not have life in it. And I told you when you say does not have life, you mean it has a very what's the right word here? Maybe not such a active form of life in it, not such a active form of life in it, or not a full time, or not. It has a minuscule form of life, not like your skin, like your flesh, etc., etc. You with me? So the masla is that these portions of the body, which does of an edible animal, halal animal, even though the animal is not slaughtered according to Sharia, these parts of the body does not need a zakat to be halal. Are you with me? So, what is the implication of that? The implication of that is this here. If somebody slaughtered a goat or a sheep or a cow, but he was not slaughtered according to Sharia, right? Listen nicely. Then obviously you can't consume the flesh of it. But those portions of the animal which has this little form of life, or what you say, lesser form of life, they are not in need of zakat, they will be halal. So if a sheep was slaughtered by a mushrik, right, that doesn't mean the horns is not halal for you. That doesn't mean the bones is not halal for you. Once I got a question about linoleum. Linoleum is actually an oil which is manufactured from the fibers of a sheep. You know the fibers on a sheep's skin is manufactured from the fibers of a sheep's skin. So the other question is, you think okay, it comes from a sheep, so the sheep must be halal. It must be halal. But if you understood this Messiah, you'll understand that which does not have a full form of life, it has not hayate kamila. It has hayate naqisa. It has a hayate naqisa. Then that even though it's not slaughtered according to Sharia, it will still be permissible. It won't be a haram. So somebody even the girls upstairs they ask the question about bone broth. You know, when you have bone, your big bones, then you have this collagen. Now you get this collagen that is made from fish bones. You also get collagen that is made from beef bones. It's called collagen, whatever. Now, if you understood this masla, you'll understand that the collagen or the bone broth that is made from a halal animal, even though the animal was not slaughtered in a halal manner, still that bone meal will be permissible. Still that bone meal will be permissible. So I checked the fatwa on the net, etc. They say, look, technically speaking, you're saying, yes, that's the point I was coming to what you're saying. So they say, even though the animal, halal animal, it was not slaughtered according to Shariah. It was not slaughtered according to Shariah. So you got bone meal from a cow, bone meal from a sheep, bone meal from a goat, bone meal from a chicken, even though it is not slaughtered according to Sharia, technically speaking, that is halal for you. But the problem is, you have guaranteed that none of the meat residues on there. If you know for a fact 100% that that bone has been thoroughly cleansed of all any meat, because the meat is not halal for you, and you know for a fact that this bone meal is pure bone, there's absolutely no what you call it residue of meat, it will be technically permissible. Okay, now read whatever I explained to you, it is there in the kitab. Now read it, inshallah. Right, see, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَشَعْرُ الْمَيْتَةِ, the hair of a carrion. That means it hasn't been slaughtered according to Sharia, right? That's what I mean by that. وَعَظْمُهَا. Okay, sorry. Yeah, they're just speaking about, before we come to that masala, they just say in general, like you got a lion, you got remember, to get a lion's flesh clean, to get a lion's skin clean, what? You have to slaughter it according to Sharia, or to tan it, right? So the lion, you never slaughtered according to Sharia. The lion, you never slaughtered according to Sharia. Or the tiger, whatever. So the hair fibers will be parked because there was no najasat in the hair that needed to be extracted from it. You understand what I'm saying? So so this would refer to even a non-halal animal because we only speak about taharat, we only speak about consumption, right? So وَشَعْرُ الْمَيْتَةِ, the hair of carrion, and obviously not a pig. وَأَظْمُهَا, so if you got lion bones, which has been cleansed of all the flesh, right? Then technically speaking, it is clean. It is clean. But we're speaking about your taharat. We're not speaking about what? We're not speaking about consumption, right? وقال الشافعي رحمه الله, Imam Shafi'i, نجس or najasun لأنه من أجزاء الميتة. Imam Shafi's thinking is very plain and simple. He said, look here, that this animal died, right, a natural death, or it was killed. It was not slaughtered according to Sharia. It was not slaughtered according to Sharia. So it is maita, and if it is maita, that means the hair is also maita, the horns is also maita. If you got like a hooves, like the hooves will also be maita, the the paws will be maita. If you got claws, the claws will be maita, etc., etc. Right? This is our proof to say that that thing which doesn't have a full form of life in it, it is not in need of Shari'i zakat to become halal. Walana annahu, we say, la hayata fihima, there's no life in this. There's no, although here in the kitab it says no life, but I mean, it's not a complete form of life, right? Walana annahu la hayata fihima ay, yani la hayatan kamilan. And what's our proof to say that it doesn't have a kamil hayat? ولهذا لا يتألم بقطعها. When you cut, like even the horses on the farm, or when the hooves get too long, then you what you call, what's the right word you call it now? What's the word now? You shave. You have a, what do you call it now? I forget now the word. But anyway, you file it down. Your nails also, look here. When your nails are long, every time you file your nails, or you feel pain, cutting my nails. No, unless it cut your skin. That is saying. So that means it has a life form, but not a complete life form, not a complete life form. So any part of the body that does not experience pain with cutting it and severing it, it does not have a complete life. That's what saying. وَلِهَذَا لَا يَتَأَلَّمُ بِقَطْعِهَا. He does not experience pain بِقَطْعِهِمَا, with the cutting of them too. يعني the cutting of the hair and the cutting of the bones. فَلَا يَحُلُّهُمَا الْمَوْتُ. So no death really came into it. So see, we're saying that the skin first, it was sparked. If you sat on a live lion, it was sparked. But when it died, now all the blood, etc., goes into there. That's why it needs to be drained out by slaughtering it, right? So, same thing, فَلَا يَحُلُّ مَعَ الْمَوْتُ. There was no death in it that required it to be tanned, etc., etc., etc. So there's no death that came to contaminate it. So these things, the hair, the bones, the hooves, the claws, the horns, etc., it had no life in the first place to say that it needed what? It needed zakat, right? So you say, see, فَلَا يَحُلُّ مَا الْمَوْتُ. Death never come to it, because it didn't have complete life. Like you guys half dead already, say, oh, you won't die, you're already dead, you're like living dead. Even mautu zawalul hayati, because death is actually the end, it is the termination of life. وَشَعْرُ الْإِنسَانِ وَأَظْمُهَا طَاهِرٌ. Okay, the new subject now. He's saying, وَشَعْرُ الْإِنسَانِ وَأَظْمُهُ طَاهِرٌ. Now, remember we said in the beginning that uh, all skins will be purified by tanning it, except the skin of a pig and the skin of a human being. So now, you might think in your mind that means the skin of a human being is najis, like cannot be tanned, like how the pig skin, it is najisul ain. The pig skin is najisul ain. You cannot tan it under any circumstances, right? So same thing here. We saying here that this cannot be tanned and not be used, but not because it is najis, not because وَشَعْرُ الْإِنسَانِ وَأَظْمُهَا طَاهِرٌ. The hair of a human being, وَأَظْمُ, and his bones, they are pure, right? But we discussed the reason why you can't use them is because there's a fear it will be desecrated. If you're going to start saying you can use human body parts, people will kill people for body parts, they will breed people for body parts, they will start selling body parts, and that will result in a disrespect for the human parts. So Imam Shafi, وقال الشافعي نجس. Imam Shafi says the hair of a human being and his bones are najis. We say this follows the normal law of all the other halal animals, etc., etc., right? Or maybe not even the halal animals, the halal and the haram animals, that when it is cleansed, when the animal is slaughtered, is parked, or um, the person is slaughtered, but a person died a natural death, then it is stained, it becomes parked. But the only reason why we'll say that you cannot use it, right? So we say, right? Okay, I skipped a portion there. Maybe example. لأنه لا ينتفع به ولا يجوز بيعه. What does Imam Shafi's proof to say it is najis? Say, look here, you are not allowed to benefit from a human being's body in any way. It's haram, right? And you're not allowed to sell it even. Haram to sell it. So this shows it's najis. So we agree with him to that part. We say, yes, you can't sell it. You cannot sell it. You cannot benefit from it. But not because it's najis, rather out of respect for it. And I gave you the reasons now. It will spawn a whole industry. People will start breeding human beings just for their body parts. وَلَنَا أَنَّ عَدَمَ الْإِنْتِفَاعِ وَالْبَيْعِ. We say that the Adam al-Intifa, not benefiting of it, Adam al-Intifa wal-Bay, not selling it, لِكَرَامَتِهِ. It is because it is something honored. فَلَا يَدُلُّ عَلَى نَجَاسَتِهِ. So it does not mean because you cannot use it, it is not najis. Or rather, it is najis, right? So, okay, alhamdulillah, that brings us to the end of that chapter. Inshallah, I accept. I hope it was beneficial. Now we're going to start a new chapter, Faslun fil Bi'ri, the chapter with regards to the water of the well. You know, I mentioned to you before, I tell you sometimes it seems certain chapters are not relevant. But if you understand the usul behind it, you will see the relevance of it. And also, many a times, maybe the chapter per se is not relevant, but in between you see there are certain masail that are relevant. And I will show you as we go. Inshallah, we will try to we will try to so um we will inshallah we'll try to make it as contemporary as possible. We'll try to see what masail we can understand in a modern context from this, etc., etc. And I told you that the author authors the book according to the circumstances in his environment. He tried to highlight the usul, and it's for us to understand the usul and to see how we can contemporize it. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, look at the first one. Faslun fil bi'ri, the chapter with regards to the wells. Okay, just 1 second there. Remember, we discussed this here. If you got a little water, we discussed Maya Qalil, remember? If Najasat falls in Maya Qalil, then you don't have to see the effect of the Najasat in the water. Automatically the water becomes najis. Automatically the water becomes najis. So I got a bucket of water here. I got a bath of water here. Even a single drop, I know for sure that a single drop of water, of urine fell in there, sperm fell in there, blood fell in there, alcohol fell in there. Even if I don't see it, it becomes najis, right? Even if it's little. That's the normal default ruling with regards to my qalil. Are you with me? Right. Now, normally a well, so we never see a well, but normally a well is also my qalil. What is a well? So if you apply the laws of a well, if a little najasa, sorry, if you apply the normal usul, that if a little najasa fell in a well, then the well should also be najis. That well should also be najis. Are you with me? That well should also be najis. But, but the normal laws of najasat of my qalil is not applicable to a well. Because a well is slightly different. A well is normally fed from the bottom. Sometimes a well is situated on a spring, right? So as far as you draw the water out, it fills up. Or at a minimum, if the water is not, the well is not situated located in the spring, normally also, in between the rock formations, you have veins, like how you have veins in your body. You have veins where the water flows. So sometimes if you empty the well out now, tomorrow morning when you come through that veins of water will flow into the well, right? So a well is different. A well is different. It has different laws because it is constantly being fed with something. So that is why a well is discussed different. And here also at the onset, it's mentioned that see a well, its laws are not based on logic. It's not based on akal. It's more based upon nakal. Because technically speaking, look here, if you got a well is maya qalil. Even if a single piece of najasat fell in there, what is the law of maya qalil? You must remove all that water, you must rinse that thing out, and you must put fresh water in. So with a well, this will be very, very difficult. How are you going to extract all the water? How do you, when the thing is being constantly fed? How are you going to know how much water is in the well? Are you going to jump into the well and remove the najis water from there. So what I'm saying is the normal laws of najasat and contamination, it does not apply to a well. There is we got statements of the fuqaha, the hadith, etc. That what is applicable. So just read the first Ibadah for Barakah before we break. So I told you the challenge is this year now. You must see how you can find contemporary surahs for this. How is this applicable? Like I told you, a well is constantly fed with water. Read. Right. So وإذا وقعت في البئر نجاسة إذا نجاسة in the well نزحت, you take the water out. وكان نصف ما فيها من الماء طهارة لها. So removing the water, whatever is in there, that will be a taharat for it. In other words, you don't have to now make it completely empty, wash it out and clean. Just the amount of water is in there, you just remove that. So if that well carried about 1 kiloliter of water, you remove the kiloliter of it, it is right. So وكان ناس ما فيها من الماء طهارة لها بإجماع السلف. ومسائل البئر مبنية على اتباع الآثار دون القياس. I mentioned to you that the masail of a well is mostly based upon following the hadith, following the statements of the fuqaha. We can't use the regular laws of um, uh, najasat and adam najasat because this is not a logical thing. Okay, we stop there, inshallah. We will continue tomorrow. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. This last bit is